I had always been drawn to old houses. There was something about their weathered exteriors and quiet history that intrigued me. The stories they could tell, the lives they had witnessed, the secrets they held behind crumbling walls. So, when I stumbled upon the old Ashcroft house, I couldn't resist. It had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember, sitting on the edge of town like a forgotten monument. The windows were boarded up, the paint was peeling, and the garden had long since surrendered to weeds. Yet, there was a strange beauty to it, a mysterious pull that seemed to invite me in. I was new to town, having just moved in a week ago. I didn't know much about the Ashcroft house except that it was rumored to be haunted. Kids in the neighborhood would whisper about it, daring each other to come near it after dark. But I wasn't afraid. I was always the curious type, and this was too good an opportunity to pass up. It was early autumn when I first caught sight of the house, the trees lining the dirt road that led to it all ablaze with fiery reds and golds. The air smelled faintly of damp wood and decay. I hadn't seen the house yet in its full, decrepit glory, but the way the people in town spoke about it, with a mixture of fascination and dread, intrigued me. They spoke in hushed tones, as if the house itself might hear their words. One evening, with the sun just beginning to set and the wind beginning to pick up, I decided to go see it. I knew the stories. People said the house was cursed, that the last family who lived there had disappeared without a trace, and that strange lights were often seen flickering in the upstairs windows at night. But something about it felt irresistible to me. I wasn't afraid. I was excited. This would be my first real adventure in the new town. As I made my way to the edge of the property, a strange sensation washed over me. The air felt heavier here, as if the earth itself had absorbed the house's dark history. The land around it was wild, untamed, overgrown with thick weeds and tall grass that brushed against my ankles as I walked. The house stood at the end of a long, winding driveway, almost hidden from view by the dense trees that surrounded it. It was the perfect setting for a haunted house. Isolated, abandoned, and shrouded in mystery. I stood in front of it, my feet frozen to the ground for a moment as I took in the sheer size of it. The Ashcroft house was massive, with 3 stories rising up against the darkening sky. Its brick facade had faded over the years, but the old structure still held an undeniable presence. The roof sagged in places, and the windows were dark, their glass cracked and boarded over. It looked like something out of a forgotten dream, a relic of a bygone era that had been left to decay. But what struck me the most was the door. It had always been locked, or so I had heard. People claimed the Ashcroft house had been sealed off for years, left to rot in silence. Yet now, as I stood before it, I saw that the heavy front door was slightly ajar. It creaked as I pushed it open, a sound that seemed far too loud for the stillness around me. Inside, the house was dark and cold. The musty smell of old wood and dampness filled the air. The floors were covered in a thick layer of dust, and the walls were lined with faded wallpaper, peeling at the edges. Every step I took echoed through the empty space, the sound unnervingly loud in the silence. I hesitated, unsure of where to go. The house was enormous, with long, dark hallways stretching out in every direction. Each room I passed seemed abandoned, filled with remnants of a time long gone. Broken furniture lay scattered around, some of it covered in sheets, as if the house had once been a home. But it wasn't just the dust and decay that sent a chill down my spine. It was the sense of emptiness. The oppressive silence felt like a weight, pressing in on me from all sides. I wandered through the house, my feet making soft thuds on the worn wood floors. The walls seemed to close in around me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. It was a strange sensation, like there was someone just out of view, lurking in the shadows, waiting for me to turn the corner. But whenever I did, the hallways were empty. I finally found myself in what appeared to be the living room, or at least what had once been the living room. A large fireplace dominated one wall, its hearth long since cold. Dust covered the furniture, but in the center of the room, there was an old rocking chair. It was wooden, its slats warped with age, and it faced the fireplace as if someone had been sitting there not long ago. I stood there for a moment, staring at the chair. There was something unsettling about it, something off. It was as though it had been waiting for me to notice it, to acknowledge its presence. I shook my head, trying to shake off the creeping feeling of unease that had settled over me. I turned to leave the room, but as I did, I heard it. A soft, distant whisper. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The voice was low and indistinct, as if someone was speaking from another room. I strained my ears, trying to make out the words, but the whisper was too faint. Then, just as I was about to dismiss it as my imagination, it came again, louder this time, and clearer. "Get out." The voice was cold, almost angry. It sent a shiver down my spine. I whipped around, my eyes scanning the room for any sign of movement. But there was nothing. Just the empty, dust-covered furniture and the oppressive silence. I took a step back, my pulse quickening. Maybe I was just hearing things, I told myself. But then I heard it again. This time, closer. "Get out!" The whisper was unmistakable now, as though it was coming from all around me. I turned, my eyes darting to every corner of the room. The air seemed to thicken, the temperature dropping. I reached for my phone, but as I glanced down at the screen, it was black. No signal. I backed toward the door, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps. My feet moved faster now, as if they had a mind of their own, carrying me away from the room, away from the whispers. But no matter how quickly I moved, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was following me. Something that wasn't human. Just as I reached the front door, I heard it again, this time louder and more forceful. "Get out." I didn't stop to look behind me. I ran, my feet pounding on the wooden floors, and didn't stop until I was outside, gasping for air. The door slammed shut behind me, and for a moment I stood there, staring at the house. It loomed in the distance, its dark windows staring back at me like hollow eyes. I didn't go back. I don't think I could ever bring myself to. The Ashcroft house is still there, standing silent at the edge of town. The whispers follow me though, and sometimes, in the dead of night, I swear I can hear them still, calling me to return, to come back to the house, to face whatever lies inside. But I never will.